Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment of our program is brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. They are in their winter break at the moment, but you can go to topoco.com to learn more about them. You can also go to their Facebook page. And not only can you book your 2021 stay, but you can learn all about these folks. And it is a beautiful, beautiful place. Just a tremendous family-owned, like so many of the folks here on the Sports Source, family-owned, locally owned, historic site. And it is an amazing place right in our footprint here. So go to topoco.com, go to their Facebook page, check them out, book your stay for 2021 right now. All right, want to welcome in the last member of today's panel. Right down there in his Masters jacket, we have Chuck Cavaleris. Oh, you get the red shirt, so it's a Christmas jacket.
Yes.
Chuck Cavaleris, longtime sports writer in East Tennessee, radio, TV, et cetera, et cetera. Chuck, just town crier for a while. Chuck, thanks for joining us. Very quick question for all you guys, and Chuck, you make no bones about the fact you're a fan now, pure Vol fan. So I'm going to start with you. I've heard a lot of people say this over the years, but it seems like more and more people are saying it right now. Tennessee's never going to get back to national relevance. They're done. It's over. We're never going to see national relevance for Tennessee football again. Asked all of you this, but you first. Where do you stand on that? Are you going more to that direction? Are you in that?
I think I'm much more to that direction, and it's a very tall hill to climb. I mean, I remember saying something. Our good friend Sterling Hinton, and I always gets him fired up. As long as Nick Saban is at Alabama, as long as you have a good coach at Florida, as long as you have Georgia recruiting like Georgia does, you have just got to have a lot of things fall your way to have that 9-3 season. And is that good enough for the national prominence? Or are you talking about 10-2? So it's a lot further in the distance. I don't know if we can see it on the horizon.
All right. Josh and Bob, where are you guys on this whole they'll never get back to national relevance again?
Well, they're not anywhere close right now. Not for good reasons. But forever, that's a long time. And Nick Saban, I don't think, is going to coach forever. And at Florida and Georgia, coaches are going to change. It's going to happen. So it's going to take some fortune. You have to find the right coach. You have to get people on the right page, all these things that we've talked about. And you need some help, I think, from the other schools that have more potential or higher ceilings, I think, are what they're able to achieve than Tennessee. But if you get a break or two with one of those other programs, if they run into problems and you get things sorted out, in the future, as long as you have the resources and the support, which I expect to always be there, can you get back? Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, think about it. Tennessee recruits at about a top 15 level. They put
Always.
players in the NFL at about a top 15 level. And yet you're nowhere near a top 15 level. If you performed to where the numbers say you should be,
talent-wise,
and every year you're coming in there and you're somewhere 12, 13, 14, 15, top 20, then you catch that break or you catch that special player and that elevates you. So, yeah, they can. But what I don't understand, and the question to me is, why are you a top 15 level program recruiting players in the NFL, et cetera, and yet you're close to just stink right now? That, to me, is the question. So can they? I think they can, and you may just be one guy away or two guys away.
I think Chuck makes a great point that you right now, especially Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and it's tough to get to 9-3 because you have to beat everybody else just to get to 9-3. At the same time, Florida's had some serious downs, and they have major highs, but they've had some serious valleys too. Remember, when you hired Jeremy Pruitt, they hired Dan Mullen to come in off a 4-7 year. You were 4-8, they were 4-7. They just hired a better coach and got back quickly. I'm surprised you didn't go. I know you don't like the forever bets.
Yeah.
So to me, I think they'll get back at some point because, as you say, takes one guy. You get lucky with one coach, and it flips like that. It's just a matter of, do you find your one coach in the next search or the next search or the next search? But I do think Tennessee will get back to that level at some point.
One thing that is curious that you got to wonder about is, and Josh probably knows this better, how many recruiting busts have you had? How many times have you had some guys that got you in that top 15 ranking that either didn't pan out, got hurt, or transferred?
At what point, though, does that come back to coaching, though? If you were consistently top 15 in recruiting and consistently, I mean, over the last 20 years, you're top 15 in terms of NFL draft picks. Think about that. So you could sit there and say guys were busts and didn't. You've still churned out more than all but 14 schools in terms of NFL talent over the last 20 years, and you have nary a championship to show for it in 20 years. Not one. You can go down that list, and we're going to do that. You can go down that list at some point and find everybody else at least has had a blip, a jump forward. Tennessee has not had that in this 20-year run.
Yeah, and something I think we agreed on here is that is a bit of a challenge is that Tennessee needs some luck. Well, Florida wasn't lucky to get Dan Mullen. Florida's Florida, so it called Dan Mullen.
And he's
just like
been
Tennessee.
there too.
Yeah,
that
helps
yeah.
for sure. But I think most coaches are going to say, well, Florida and Tennessee are open, I'm going to Florida.
Yes.
If Georgia and Tennessee are open, I'm going to Georgia. So they don't need as much luck in terms of finding the right guy to come in and get the program. And there's a reason Tennessee went with Jeremy Pruitt, who was unproven, and Florida went with Dan Mullen, who very much was proven.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee and Nebraska are very comparable. Not only they both kind of hit the skids at the same time, they've both gone through coaches, they're both having a hard time getting out. I think a lot of that ties back to recruiting in that state. If you're based in Florida, you're going to have a better chance to recover. But at the same time, one guy. Look, here's the other thing. You've come close. As much as people revile these names, Derek Dooley hires a good defensive coordinator instead of Sal Sinceri. If he just promotes Lance Thompson, in my opinion, you're probably 8-4, and he might survive. Does he learn to become a better coach? Maybe. We've seen that. I mean, you go back and look at some guys' records, and you'd say, well, he's not going to be good. And he turns out being pretty good. Is Derek Dooley Frank Beamer? I don't see it, but if Frank Beamer's first 3 or 4 years, I wouldn't. And I'm no Dooley fan, but I'm just saying, if the breaks go your way, you land the right player. Look at Butch Jones. As much as he was a joke and hated and despised here, and still is, he finished in the top 25 back-to-back years. Nobody liked it. They were mad about it, but top 25, I'd take it this year. So as bad as it's been, you could actually see a glimmer, and they should have been better than 9-4 with the talent they had, which is why everybody was mad. But I think you could. I think you'll get back to national relevance at some point.
It's
you
just
got
not
too
a
many
quick
things going
fix.
forward.
It just doesn't appear it's going to happen anytime soon.
It's bleak right now, no question. All right. When we come back, Bob, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
We're going to throw you out as we talk basketball. Jimmy Hyams
throw me out too.
Jimmy Hyams is back next, and we're going to talk Tennessee hoops. We're going to talk about what to expect from the season ahead first. Then we'll get into the strengths and weaknesses of the team. We'll compare this team to past UT great teams. Who would win a 4-team tournament between some of these great Tennessee basketball teams? We'll discuss it all. Come on back on the Sports Force.